Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling, as you see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today in a rather late night episode. I'm not going to say as per usual, because I don't think it's as per usual, to be perfectly honest, but it is late night. Sorry, I should have had a sip of water probably before I started instead of recording and then having a sip of water immediately. What should we talk about today? I'm not really sure, to be perfectly honest. What I can say is, and anyone else watching Yabayatsu season 2, I didn't actually realise it started season 2 until like a couple of days ago, and I've been watching the new season. Honestly, it's as good as, if even better than first, which is crazy. Anyway, good evening everyone. Right now in Fawnhollow, it's 11:24 p.m. on Tuesday, January 30th, 2024. I spoke about Yabayatsu before. If you don't know, it's an anime. The English translation is something like "The Dangers in My Heart" or something. I spoke about it in a previous episode. I can't remember what it was called, to be honest. I probably called it something like "Dangers in Heart" because I didn't want to give it the exact title, otherwise people get the wrong idea that it's like an actual review or something. When it wasn't really that one, it was very much just sort of spur of the moment. I just started watching it and I was like, it's actually pretty good. The TLDR of it is basically some edgelord kid, and this other girl in high school it's basically their romance, like them slowly falling in love with each other. But it's like so cute. It's like so incredibly like heartfelt and sincere in some sort of way. Not like it's all sincere. Like they're still, at the end of the day, they're still very much goofy teenagers, and teenagers do what teenagers do, I suppose. But it is very cute. It's like hard not to root for them, I suppose. And there's lots of great moments in it, and season 2 is just shaping up to be even better. So I have a lot of fun with that. There's also there's a line in it which I'm just like, it sort of stuck with me afterwards, but I don't want to say it in case it's a spoiler. So I guess if you're concerned about Yabayatsu spoiler, it's not really that big a spoiler. Then mute yourself in 3, 2, 1. But the line where it's just like she goes, "It's okay to get the wrong idea." And then we wait for everyone to unmute themselves, I suppose. I suppose even now I think about it, saying that without context probably doesn't make any sense. But you ever get those like random lines from like media properties which like just really stick with you for some reason? Where you're like, I'm not going to say that there aren't lines in media properties which are explicitly like chosen because they, they're like a storyline fulfilling in some sort of way, or like harken back to a previous theme, or something like as if they're not like specifically chosen for a particular reason or anything like that. But some of them, which while they're also good, they feel like they sort of strike a nerve in my brain where I'm just like, oh, for some reason my brain is not like latched onto it more than the other one, but for some reason it feels to like it's had a disproportionately bigger impact on my viewing experience for the better for some reason than not. I actually said this recently, like, what movie was it? It was the Hunger Games movie, the Snakes and Songbirds one, where there was, I guess mild spoilers for this, but a character says, I guess it's kind of big spoilers, but okay, how can I do this without giving away the spoilers? Let me think. Red-haired girl says a line to I don't know, maybe that is spoilers. I don't know. I don't think it's really spoilers. Okay, I guess if you're concerned about spoilers, again, mute yourself for the next 10 seconds. But it's when Coral says the line, "I can't have killed them all for nothing." And then we give him a little bit, I suppose, for whoever's muted themselves those 10 seconds to come back in. I don't think anyone's actually doing it. I'd imagine most people listening to this probably don't even care about the spoilers in the first place. But that line like really stuck with me. I was like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like there's some lines which are like poignant lines, but the thing with me saying that is it feels kind of weird to say that, because of course some of the lines are going to be poignant lines. It's not like the writers were sitting there being like, let's have non-impactful lines or something. But they've clearly written the entire story with stuff in mind, and then being like, this is where we like drop the bomb of like, this is like a really like poignant moment to have or something like that. And that's just kind of when it goes like, oh snap sort of thing. But I do wonder to myself if like sometimes those poignant lines, other lines which I find particularly poignant, are ones which strike me in like, how should I put it, like strike me differently, I suppose, compared to the average person watching or consuming a media property. I'm trying to think of like a good example from other ones, something a bit older, so me spoiling it probably is like less impactful. Like, I know the one that people always talk about is an Undertale, which, I guess Undertale spoiler warning, but it is like a 12-year-old game or something at this point. Is it 12-year-olds? No, it can't be 12 years old. Surely not. It's probably barely 10 years old, I think. Let's see, when did Undertale come out? Undertale. I'm going to guess it released in 2016, so probably 8 years. 2015, okay, close enough. But the line, despite everything, it's still you, I always thought was a very poignant line. But I think most people are sort of in agreement about being like a very poignant line, being like, it's very iconic, I suppose, in so many words. I'm trying to think of other ones which come to mind, but I don't know. Like, but there's something so delicious, I suppose, about those poignant moments. I suppose that probably taps into my sort of love of a melancholic in the first place. It's things which tap, I suppose, on not the rawest emotions, but tap most strongly, I suppose, upon the emotions in the first place, which end up having big effects. And what I can think about is, this one's not even a spoiler because it's not really like much to spoil in the first place, but in Project Sakai, there's a song called ID Smile, and then just the line, Itai, 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 Itai na dochira, which to translate in Japanese, Itai can mean both like, I want to go, and also it can mean like, ow, it hurts, essentially. And then the entire song is basically about trying to deal with the contrary feelings of being like, should I like face the pain or something, or should I leave, like run away from a problem in the first place, but lose what I have at the moment. It's basically playing off that, and I'm like, that's a fantastically powerful line, I suppose. But again, that's a song which was designed for that to be the sort of like, what's it called? Like, not like the tagline, like with there's like a certain term which I've heard used in K-pop songs mostly for like the creme de la piece de resistance, I suppose, of like a song. Like I think it's called like the kill it move or something, but it doesn't sound right. No, point move. I can't remember. It's like the thing which is like, it's not like the entire thing is built around it, but like you can tell that that's like where the focus of the emotion or the conveying of the point of the meaning, I suppose, of a song or media property is focused within that part, I suppose. But that one comes to mind. Itai, itai na dochita. Oh yeah, it's about saying like itai or itai, which one should I choose? Of course, there being a play on words, that them both sounding the same. I can't think of another good one off the top of my head. It's a thing with these. Like, I should probably stop trying to construct video conversations in this way of being like really broad topic, and then like me just sitting here for like minutes just trying to like struggle and pick out the things which I'm actually thinking about in the first place. It's sort of like the point that people say, being like, if someone asks you, have you read this book before, you can say yes or no with much more definitiveness. But if someone was like, can you list out all the books that you've ever read or something, or like even it's like, can you list out all the books you've read in the past year, provided you've read like more than one book or something, it's quite difficult. But it's hard to summon up. It's easy to validate information, but it's harder to summon up the information. Is basically, I suppose, the point I'm getting at here. So yeah, I don't know, but there's probably a lot of poignant things. Like, I'm certain Night in the Woods. Oh, you know what? Night in the Woods. I guess there's spoilers for Night in the Woods. Hold on. How long is how long ago was Night in the Woods? Night in the Woods. I think it was probably around a bit before Undertale, was what I'd say. It was actually after Undertale. Actually, that makes more sense now I think about it. 7 years old. Oh my god, it's so old. Night in the Woods had a sort of poignant moment as well, I think, which sort of like struck me. But like, again, it's a moment which is meant to be poignant. But I guess I'm going to spoil Night in the Woods, but it's going to take more than 10 seconds. So I don't know. You're just going to have to guess randomly, I suppose, when I'm done talking about Night in the Woods. But it's, if you go hang out with B and it's the third scene and you hang out, like most people, say, yeah, of course, that's the most iconic one. It's a one where you go to the club with her and then like you basically blow up her fantasy sort of experience, not fantasy experience, but her like pretending to be something she's not for that night or something. And then I can't remember, I'm paraphrasing the exact line, but she says something along the line of, you gave up the only thing I've ever wanted, I can't not hate you for that, or something. something like that. And I was just like, wow, that is such a killer line. That's such a line that's a line that sort of makes sense you reading, where you're like, whoa, the emotional impact of that. There's so much weight, I suppose, carried in those emotionally devastating punches, you know? Those are the moments I live for in all media properties, I think, you know? The things where, you know, you're being like slapped across the face with like the weight of emotion. I mean, I often say that art, I feel like, not necessarily that everyone has the same motivation necessarily for art, but at least one major motivation I think for art for me is to invoke a sense of emotion, what, you know, or like to invoke the same feelings garnered from like an experience or a story or something, especially more so for one which is not something that you personally have experienced, you know. And I think that's probably like the best example I can think of a scene which does that. Like, I haven't lived B's life in the story. Like, I haven't experienced the same things that she has, nor the setbacks, or am I even in the same sort of like life situation that she is. Certainly, you know, I can make what's the word? Analogies with similarities through like similar things. Like, of course, I've faced troubles in my life and that sort of thing, and she's facing troubles, but I haven't faced her own specific troubles. And then just that line perfectly encapsulates that feeling of wanting to support someone, and then like respecting their decision for giving up on it, but seeing them give up on literally the one thing that you've wanted more than anything else. And that difficult sort of balance of being like, how can I not resent you for this, for giving up the one thing I could never have, essentially. Like, I guess it's like, I'm lucky to say that at least as far as I can think of, that's not something which particularly plagues me, but like the weight of a line of, wow, it's got 5 rocks all from this one rock, but the weight of a line of, I can't not hate you for that, is just like, paraphrasing, you know, of course, like I can't remember the exact quote, it's so just like, oh, what an effective, I guess what I'm saying is like, what an effective writing, what an effective story, being able to convey that emotion like that, being able to convey that message. I guess really what I'm trying to say is I like good writing, which is, I guess, dumb to say, but I don't know. There's something very sort of like, not snippy, but oddly satisfying about, you know, having just like a sharp statement, I suppose, which sums up the building feelings and emotions so succinctly. Because I suppose, to use a Night in the Woods, like, I was going to say allegory again, it's not really an allegory, and story again, it's one where like this resentment, I suppose, is building up. Like the second time you hang out with Bean, you know, you have the whole thing of like, you always have a choice, everyone has a choice, or that sort of thing. That situation, you have this bubbling sort of tension between them, and then it's sort of like finally you get that resolution. Like that line just perfectly encapsulates, I suppose, the entire story, that entire arc of difficulty and tension that's been bubbling between May and B. You know, just something so beautifully, I don't know why I said it so weirdly, something so beautifully succinct about it. Something which can just encapsulate it. I guess that's what I mean. These poignant moments, I think, hit me strikingly different. Like, not only they're poignant, but they perfectly encapsulate, I suppose, the emotional journey that the thing is taking you through. It's the sort of thing where it's like, this perfectly summarizes, like, if I just said that to you, you could probably draw out the conclusion of like the rest of the story, of like what the general broad strokes story is about, and like what it meant, or like what it was trying to explore. I guess those are ones which hit harder. I wonder if I could see that reflected in my writing style. I'm trying to think about it. I think in some degree, certainly, you can see that in my writing. You may be like, but dear darling, we can't see your writing. That's true. I was meant to make some like writing accounts to upload like all the short stories I've done for my writing group. I was also meant to restart the writing group at some point, but it's also I've been a little bit busy, I suppose, trying to do what I'm trying to do. And understandably, people are also kind of busy, so I'm not even sure people have time for this writing group as of right now. I'm sure people will in the future, once we get sort of like things balanced out. But it's the sort of thing where it's like, I wonder if I can see that in the way I write. And I think I see that in the way I write poetry. I feel like, actually, most of the stories I wrote, like it reminds me of like, not a criticism per se, but like a feedback I got from one of my friends, where like the stories feel like you can always know that a dear-lying story will come to some sort of conclusion at the end. You like, I build up what has ended up being quite a predictable arc, but like setting up the story and then coming up through like with tension into climax and then into the conclusion, and it always has like such a neat resolution. It was like I say it's not criticism, it was a feedback. It's just something that she noticed. So it was just like, oh yeah, then like I felt like when I started reading the story, I could already like imagine how you were going to take the story, and you did. And I was like, that's actually an interesting feedback, because I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Of course, you know, I think that's, if anything, you know, if you read like multiple stories from an author, you probably will pick up on their habits and like the tends of story arcs they tend to write. But I remember from that point on, I was like, I should try and like change up the story arc a little bit more. But I think it's a sort of general desire within me to reflect, to try and create the things which appeal to me most, and the thing which appeals to me most tend to be those poignant moments where, you know, it all leads to like a really like key phrase or moment or something like that, which perfectly summarizes exactly what I was trying to explore within the story itself. I think none of them encapsulate this concept more, I suppose, than this poem I wrote called I can't even remember exactly how it goes anymore, but what's it called? It's called at the same place at the same time, or something like that. It's something like that. But hold on, let me see if I can find it. I don't know why I'm like trying to recite what it's called when I can literally just go in my Google Drive and find it. At the same place at the same time, it's that one. But the general concept, I suppose, of it is... Oh, I have a bit of a moment. Why do we put the music away back in our thing? The general concept of it is basically two people who fall in love, like a first meeting at a summer fair, and it shows the progression of a relationship and the tensions that come with it, and then it rounds up with like the final, not stanza, but section of meeting again at the same sort of like fair, but this time being much older, and this time having grown as people, and then it's sort of like the general story being like, oh, you know, you two would have made a perfect couple if you had just met now instead of when you first met, because when you first met, you know, you were too young to really like look past each other's like flaws and work together to it. You both weren't ready for the relationship, and by the time that you met again for the second time, despite the fact that you would be perfect for each other, the scars of that first relationship still remain, and thus is now sort of like an irreconcilable difference for both of you, such that the relationship can't happen. Hence the same place at the same place at the same time, and how these different contexts behind it. But I think like it's because I'm pretty sure I end this poem with something which is meant to like succinctly summarize exactly what's going on, I suppose. Oh yeah. The sun has now set, the stars returned, I carry my hope in stride. If only fate had brought us together at different times in our lives. That's basically the last few lines of a poem. And you know, from that, if I just told you about this, you'd be like, oh yeah, I guess I could infer from context like what the rest of his thing's about. I do think this is probably one of my more direct pieces of writing though. Like I think it's very obvious what I'm like trying to explore and what I'm talking about in there. So I should read through my stories again at some point. You know what, I should do that. I should do that when I make this like public writing account where I upload my stories. But I should read them again and like reflect upon them. Again, I'm not really like a professional writer though, so I'm not really sure if I have much to say in that sense, but I need more Google storage apparently. I don't know when my thing is being refreshed though. 56 days converted from my remaining time. Like I'd pay £25 now to only get 56 days, and then I'd have to pay £25 again. That seems silly. Why would I do that? Monitor the dark web is one of the... Okay, sorry, that was just a... Okay, so I just gotta hold out for 56 days. I hope I put a reminder in my calendar. That absolutely seems like something I would do. Put something in my calendar to be like, hey, this is when you gotta... This is when I gotta upgrade my Google again. Let's see. You know, I'll do this outside of the episode. I'm going to wrap this episode up here, though. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Alan crossing new horizons. I've been dear darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope you see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now. Poignant lines. Moments? Just deciding what to name this video.